here. So I just wanted to show you that when you start with basic ancient timeless codes, these magic squares are called fixed design or eternal design because they'll always exist in 10,000 years. It should exist on another planet like Jupiter because it's fixed timeless design. So I've put everything I know into one mural. So this mural is called Dolphusion, which is the fusion of the human with the dolphin. So you can see the dolphin tail here. But at the heart or the center of this square is her womb. This is a woman, and this midpoint here would represent whatever the navel represents to you. It's kind of like the place of birth or creation. But really the navel point, as you know in sacred geometry, is not really a midpoint. It's actually the golden mean of the body. So when I say the golden mean of the body, so from my feet to my belly button, if I measured it, it's exactly 1 meter. So 1 meter is, we'll call it 1,000 millimeters. But then if you measured me from my belly button to my head, it's a bit shorter. I'm 618. So as a ratio, 618 to 1,000 is called 0.618. And that 0.618 is the same as if this is 8, that's 13. That's the mathematics of pine cones and sunflowers. So this is the mathematics of living things. So I've placed the belly button at the midpoint of this composition, but it's really the golden mean of the body. But if you look closely, this square here at the center of the painting, this point of birth, is the magic square of 3 by 3 that we just looked at before.
At 90 degrees type, 90 degrees position.
Yeah, it's done at 0 degrees plus 90.
Plus 90, exactly.
To create this kind of star-like, this golden star that you see is kind of like an emblem for like the 9th dimension. Metaphysicians use all different kinds of symbols, but that particular star pattern is what I call psychoactive. It's a very important diagram that awakens consciousness. Even if you don't know where it comes from, it's an important structure. So that's why I put that at the center. If you look closely, there's 24 rays. If you look closely, there's all these numbers going around. So I've divided...
I'll just zoom in on that side there for you. Okay. So you can just pick one side and I'll zoom in on that. Even if I have to edit this little bit out, but that's all right.
I'll just start from here, but if we go to the top of the painting, there's a number 1. This is a Fibonacci sequence that goes 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. The next number would be the sum of the 2 previous digits. So 5 and 8 is 13. I add them up, it's called digital compression, it makes 4. 8 and 4 is 12, which makes 3. What happens is that this cyclic linear array goes for 24 digits. So the repeatability is every 24 digits, and those 24 numbers add up to 108, 108. So there's some sort of like hidden pulse or hiccup, some detectable, repeatable pattern. So this all adds up. This is a wheel of 24 that all sums to 108. And you can see I've written it in another language, in Arabic, and also in the Sanskrit, to sort of convey the universality of it. So the number 108 is written inside the heart. If you zoom in on this, you can see that there's 2 golden mean spirals that when they intersect, they form a love heart. And it's kind of like the heart within the heart, like it's a fractal heart. So I'm sort of suggesting that this frequency of 108 only has meaning is that when we program this mathematics with higher purpose, like for world peace or for healing, not just for the self but for others, that's the highest level of sacred geometry to me, is to program it with pure intent. So that's why I have that at the heart level. You can see a cross going through here, so there's this wing and this wing, and there's one down here, and it's also suggested at these 2 points. So if you look closely, there's a prime number cross. So we've been told at school that all prime numbers, another sequence like the Fibonacci sequence is called the prime number sequence, which goes like 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. There's another sequence of numbers that can't be divided, but if you look closely, there is symmetry, and the symmetry is this ambulance type of symbol. This symbol for rescue healing is the familiar ambulance symbol, but it shows that there is a distinct symmetry in the prime number cross, and I really particularly like that, but it's not shown clear enough. But that's what the wings represent. The wings represent flight into a higher dimension. There's a lot of symbolism in here, and the final symbolism, just to conclude, is I want you to look at this square here. So this square here, if that square is 1 meter, that means the perimeter of this square is 4 meters. So if I was to take this square, like a piece of string, and say I have a string that's 4 meters long, and reconstitute the square into a circle, what would be the relationship of the circle whose circumference is equal to the perimeter of the square? So here's the square, and it works out that this circle here that cuts in on inside the 4 corners is equal to the square. So if heaven represents the circle, the square would represent the earth. So when we square the circle, we're trying to say that the relationship with the above and the below, with heaven and earth, are related or connected. And the mathematics that squares the circle is when we increase the diameter of the square is 1 unit. When we extend the diameter of the larger circle beyond 1, the solution would be that the diameter of this circle would be 1.272, which means, I'll just move this, which means that the only way that we can square the circle, or to make heaven and earth equal, is when we increase the wavelength to a number called 1.272. It's a fraction more than 1. It's called 1.272. It's called the square root of the golden mean. It kind of suggests that only the harmonics of the golden mean, only the connection with living things like sunflowers and pine cones and the DNA of the human body is in a certain mathematical code. And when we obey and listen to the mathematics of nature, we become resonant with the cosmos. So that's pretty much what the painting is suggesting. There's a lot more symbolism in there.
Would you like to just explain what you've done with pi down the bottom? I see that it's 3.14, but however you've added a little bit of variation to it.
So we've been, pi, if someone said to me, what is pi? I would say that pi is the relationship of the square to the circle inside of it. So we have, for example, like here's a square, this white square, and there's a circle that fits exactly inside of it. And what's interesting, so that means, what it means is that if that distance is 1, the diameter of the circle is 1, you've been taught at school that if we took that distance like a string and curved it around, how many times would the diameter fit around the circumference?
3.14. So it's the constant for pi.
So most people at school know that the constant of pi is 3, it'll go 1, 2, 3, and a little bit more. We call it 3.141. Over here, the traditional value of pi is 3.141. But here you can see I've got a 4 in the third decimal point. My thesis that's based on the golden mean is that the true value of pi is not 3.141, it must be 3.144 based on the critical wavelength that squares the circle called 1.272. So if this diameter was 1.272, and we divide that into the number 4, so 4 divided by 1.272 equals 3.144. So my latest book that I'm currently writing is called The Book of Phi, PHI, Volume 7, and it's looking at the true value of pi. And if this is correct, then everything we know in the world of mathematics is incorrect. That we are in a disharmonic material world, all based on slightly incorrect frequencies. So what we're trying to do as artists, visionary engineers and metaphysical scientists is we're trying to imbue the planet with the correct frequencies of light and healing and love. Yeah, so that's my work, is to, as an artist and a mathematician, I pour all my love and artistry into what I understand. And the main thing about all of this, if I had to do a day seminar on explaining what is the golden mean, this divine proportion, the one word that would summarize the whole thing is called shareable. And what I mean by shareable, just the final thing, is that if this represents my arm, right, and the golden mean is not midpoint 0.5, it's the 8 to 13. I've expressed it here that here's a wavelength, we have a short, the golden mean is not in the middle, it's a fraction off centre called 0.618. So if this is 21 and that's 34, that's the mathematics of the sunflower.
Just move that out of the way.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
So this is the mathematics of the sunflower. 21 spirals clockwise, 34 anti-clockwise, but as a length, linear length, 21 to 34, if you divide 21 into 34, you get an approximation called 1.618. And you can see at the top of the painting it goes 1.618033. So all these numbers going around the black border represent the golden mean 1.618 to 108 decimal points. That's how many digits I've got here. I've got 108 decimal numbers. And so 21 plus 34 is 55. So what I'm showing here, this cryptic mathematics in the background of this painting, is showing that the symbol for phi equals 1.618, and it can be mathematically expressed as 1 plus the square root of 5 over 2. So there's a bit of algebra involved, but you can see that by just looking at mathematics as a visual context makes it easy to explain. But these wavelengths, the key word is shareable. These wavelengths 21 to 34 are called non-destructive. They're sort of like a hand in a glove. They fit and dovetail perfectly together. If that was 22 and not 21, we wouldn't be able to access the dimensions. We wouldn't be able to move from the atomic to the galactic. So this is...
So we lose all symmetry unless we obey the laws of the Fibonacci series.
And we're obeying the laws of flowers, yep. DNA, every protein in our body is a 5-pointed star. I'm surprised I don't have a 5-pointed star in here. I thought that's pretty much an important symbol. But
can you talk about the Marco Rodin symbol down there, which has got the phi ratio in it? I'll just zoom in on it down here.
Okay, I'll just move back a bit. So just another... So what's important in sacred geometry is base 9. So we've divided the circle here into a 9-point circle. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we're going to start with the binary code, which is a doubling sequence. So if we take 1 and we keep doubling it, 1 times 2 is 2. So I've joined a line from 1 to 2. And we double 2, which is 4. So we join a line to 4. Then we double 4, which is 8. So we cross over to the point 8. Now double 8 is 16, which is 1 plus 6 is 7. So I've used digital compression to reduce a 2-digit number 16 to 7. Double 7 is 14, which adds up to 1 and 4 is 5. And you would think that's the end of the sequence, but when we double 5 we get 10. 10 is 1 plus 0. And it works out that from 5 we go back to where we started from. So if this was an electrical wire, the energy would be flowing forever in this kind of VW symbol. If you look closely, the pattern that we've got is like a V there and a W there. Perhaps Hitler claimed this powerful symbol of the 9-point circle with the VW symbol. But I've superimposed upon this the golden mean spiral, which has been placed in a circle, and it turns out that the center of the golden mean spiral superimposes itself upon the center of the binary pattern, which is that point there.
This is obviously a very ancient symbol, and I first seen this one as everyone always talks about the lazy 8, and it was only a couple of months ago when I was doing vortex-based mathematics that I stumbled across Marco Rodin's symbol. So this is it right there in front of us.
Yeah, so most people know this from the Marco Rodin material, which is a profound insight into the simplicity of how everything works and how nature obeys certain sequences and numbers. So his work is based on the binary code, the Fibonacci sequence.
And here's the vector. Coming from 3 to 9
yep.
and 6 to 9 is our direction, our force. That gives us our vector.
And that's the missing gap sequence of 3, 6, 9 that Tesla said if you understood the rate, if you understood the meaning of 3, 6 and 9, you would understand the universe. So everything... So as mathematicians and symbolists, we've put everything we know into basic, simple diagrams, like as an archetype of truth and the law of nature. So it's just a journey. Mathematics is all about discovery. No one claims to know how everything works. We just look at laws of nature. We're here to copy and comprehend nature. That was stated by Victor Schauberger, who was the father of water and who became the father of air.
Implosion technology is the biggest thing that I know him from.
That's right, yeah. So he was abducted by Hitler actually to develop free energy systems and crafts.
Corella or Carandra effect is what he was using for that. That's what he was doing with the whole idea of using that copper UFO thing. I understand the physics behind it. They call it the Coanda effect. What he was trying to do.
Yeah. But his motto, Victor Schauberger, said to copy and comprehend nature. So everything that I know is in flowers. It's in the human body. It's in the distances of the planets from the sun. So my job is to get this knowledge of the doubling circuit and the Fibonacci sequence and magic squares back into the curriculum, because that's where it all started from. So 100 years ago in our national syllabus, all this mathematics was actually in our curriculum, but it was all subsequently taken away. So there's nothing new about it. This is ancient knowledge, and we're here to reclaim our magnificence by understanding the beauty of numbers.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all your tireless work. It's amazing having people like you in society that sit there and try and do something to share their information with everyone, except to sit there and try and hold on to it. And that's what information should be. It should be wisdom, something which is shared with everybody, not something which is kept to a few people.
Well, that's the key word, shareability, which is the definition of the golden mean. Yes, so thank you for looking at my art.
Zoom on this. Thank you very much, and looking forward to our next instalment.
Great.